Okay, maybe. All right, I think we're good to go. All right. Thank you for joining me. It's Connie Melton, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in McKinney, Texas. And I have a couple of tips to share with you today. We were doing bookmarks, and we had some flowers left over from doing this, and I thought, well, why not just do something with the leftovers? So that's what we're going to do. Let's see if I can make this a little louder. Okay, we'll give that a try. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to use this purple, and this was something I had already done. So this is from the Mixed Florals, which is a online exclusive. If you go to my website and scroll down and under products, you'll see an online exclusives thing. And so this is not in the catalog, but it's only available online. So I used this and may use this with purple. So I wanted to use my Highland Heather. So I took 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, just a regular A2 size card. And then I wanted to use some of the Country Woods paper, which is carrying over into our new catalog, by the way. I was very happy to see that because it has all these great wood grain ideas. And then I wanted to do something a little different on the inside. So I went, okay, well, we'll do this gray that kind of matches. But then I couldn't decide if I wanted to use black or gray ink. So here's a little tip for you. It's always nice to have some scraps. So I had some scrap of, let's look at the gray piece. I'm going to stamp this on the gray with the basic gray ink. It's okay. I will clean that off. And then I'll stamp it with the black. There may not be a whole lot of difference. There's really not. This is just a little bit softer. You may not be able to see that on camera, but it's just a little softer. Okay, now let's see if there's a difference when I do that on the Country Woods. Okay, there's the black. And there's the gray. Well, there's a big difference with that one. So I guess we'll just stick with the black for both. And let me shut this before I stick my hand in it. I'm known for that. And I'll get these out of the way. So that's a good reason for having a little bit of scrap paper always hanging around. The sentiment that I'm using today says inhale, exhale, and it comes from the new It's Okay set. So this will be available May 6th. And that's really one of the things I love about being a Stampin' Up! Demo is we get stuff in advance so we can prepare and make samples and all that sort of thing. But, you know, I just kind of like being ahead of the game. It's fun to see when the things are new. So we're just going to take our gray and do the inside piece. I always like to do the inside. Just tie things together. So just put that there. And I don't think I'll even color it. I think I'll just put it in the card just like that. Okay, glue, hang on a moment. This is not a Stampin' Up! Product. However, if you have arthritic hands, it is fabulous. Okay, I'm going to center that. This piece is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, giving it 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And now we want to do the same with our front. You can see, of course, these wooden textures all have a different wooden texture on the back. This one's very dark. We want to use the gray. Okay, I'm trying to center that as well. That's also a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. Okay. Now, I am going to use some leftover pieces. The leftover edges on, well, there's one good one right there. The leftover edges that are on the dimensionals are just as good. Sometimes they're even better because you can cut them to be a certain size or a certain shape. So I used the 2 good ones that were left on there, and now I want to put, I'm just going to cut along the edge. I am a firm believer in not wasting stuff. All right. And now we'll just pull the backing off of those. They are sticky on both sides. And if you don't stack these up too high, it can still go through for one stamp. You get them 2 and 3 high, you got to be careful. You don't want to get your card too high or it'll cost you an extra stamp for hand canceling. Okie doke. Now, I want to make sure I'm leaving room for my sentiment up here. In fact, let's just go ahead and stamp it first. This is a brand new stamp, so I don't want to stamp directly on my project until I've stamped off at least once. Yep. Let's give it another one. Okay, much better. Some people talk about using erasers and let's see, I've heard using fingernail files. I just generally stamp it until I get a good impression and I know I'm good to go. Here we go. And if you're not using a chamois, these things are great. And they're fairly cheap. You can also cut them up, use them. All right, so now I'm going to put my flower on here. Inhale, exhale, and now for the fun part. Some of these leftover flowers I want to add. I brought in the package that was purple. And yes, I got these from the store we all know and love online. I want to add a little more purple, maybe a little more greenery. Let's see. They did come with these nice little tweezers. And if you're doing something like this, I highly recommend using the glue bottles that you can get with the tiny, tiny little applicator. Because you see, I'm just doing barely a drop of glue on here in these spots. Now I want to stick this under here. Whoop. Thank goodness our glue dries clear. That will not show later. And use one of these. We'll stick that down. Okay, and maybe another. You can see I don't prep. This is live. I don't prep in advance. Oh, that would be pretty. Okay, let's use that one. These are very delicate. You do want to be careful. I do lots of crafts with kids. I don't think this is one that I would do with my grandkids, though. They are so delicate. Okay. Anything else? Let's see. I don't know. What do you think? Should we add one actually on the... Well, that's kind of cool. Let's add one on there. Oop. It wasn't good and dry yet. All right, let that dry a little better. Stay away from that one until it's dry. Okay, let's pick this one back up if we can. A little blue on it. I think this just adds something extra. All right, I'm gonna put it down in there and we'll see if anyone even notices that that's a real flower, because it just kind of blends in. One more thing. I do have my bling. Oops, I dropped the lid. I'm gonna squirt this and get some sparkle down in the tube and add some Wink of Stella. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it online, but just making those a little more sparkly. And then that's it. I think adding the flowers, the real flowers on there, I would give them at least 5 minutes to dry or so. Really brings that out. So thanks for joining me. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And please like and share. And thank you for joining me today.